we have a candidate. And no, it's not an opponent to Tammy Baldwin. I don't think they found anyone with that sort of courage, Tom.
Not yet.
But they did find a man who's a little foolhardy, and he's the former AG of the state of Wisconsin, a wanker appointee to the Waukesha County Court. And now, Dom, now he's throwing his name out there again, this time for the highest court in the state of Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Supreme Court. He wants to go against Ann Walsh Bradley. That's the good Bradley when she's on the ballot in 2025. So here he is declaring, Dom, in 2023.
Getting out there quick, man. It takes a while for Schimel to warm up, if I recall.
Dom, we've seen his campaign rollouts prior. And your friend, less mine, but your friend, Vicki McKenna.
Our colleague in radio.
Our colleague in talk radio. Inferior product down the dial. But anyways.
Aren't they all?
When he declared his candidacy the last time around, Dom, she had him on the show right away. And he was not ready for prime time. And she took some note of it, Dom. And here's what she said about the candidate, newly announced Brad Schimel, my bad.
Schimel, yeah, don't
conflate him and the GOP chairman, Brian Schimel.
Between the two of them, there's a B and an S. There's a lot of BS around here, Crute.
There is a lot of BS with these two. But let's turn it towards Vicki. What was her opinion of the candidate? His first campaign rollout, Attorney General. He's aiming high, Dom. How'd he do?
I suspect there's going to be a primary for the candidacy for Attorney General, but Brad's the first name that's actually officially, gotten into the race. I'm hoping that there is a vision to be fleshed out moving forward in the candidacy. Look, you can say no. This is just how it works in media. You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that. I mean, those are some pretty easy questions. I'm gonna invite Mr. Schimel back on. I think it was straight out of the box. He just wasn't ready for the interview. Should have just said no.
Just say no, Crute.
Did Nancy Reagan teach us nothing, Dom? So let's hear from the candidate, though. This, again, some time ago when he first ran for Attorney General, and shockingly, he was successful. That would have been the 2014 elective cycle, I believe. And then he was defeated in 2018, the same year Wanker got sent packing, when Evers and Josh Call won. And then he got appointed on Wanker's way out the door, right? Made him a judge.
Then he could Waukesha. Now, it's a stepladder for the Wisconsin Supreme Court race in 2025.
Now, Dom, I understand he lives in Waukesha County, but my understanding the candidate less convinced. Nate, we've got more sound of Brad Schimel when he first announces an AG candidate. Let's remind the people of the quality of this candidate. A couple of his quotes.
I don't even know my own website address. I don't have a lot of expertise. I don't even know my own address.
I'm unconvinced if he lives in Waukesha County or not, Tom. He does not know his own address. Has anybody verified whether or not Schimel has brought up the right names? Did he buy up the Brian Schimel for Supreme Court? It could happen.
Brad
it could happen.
He also had some interesting comments interviewed. Again, this is back in 2014. I think it was I on Oshkosh did an interview with Brad Schimel.
Which is like cable access. Could have said no to that one too, Brad.
And of course, Brad Schimel, the Republicans in general, Brad Schimel specifically, very, very law and order-y. Here's what he had to say in response to a question from Ion, Wisconsin. I'll play that one, please, Nate.
But if you had been Attorney General in, say, the 1950s in a state that did not allow interracial marriage, do you think the proper role of an Attorney General then was to not put himself or herself into the mix and say this is
deep
wrong?
sigh.
Even
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And And I understand the argument.
Your
about-
job is to uphold
Yeah.
the law, even if it's something that we might look back in the future as absurd or something.
Well, it might be distasteful to me,
Okay,
but
right.
I
I
can't-
appreciate your answer.
I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
I don't know how do you interpret that. And I know in my impression is some hardcore Republicans are, perhaps really not down for the interracial marriage. So it seems to me if Brad Schimel had the opportunity to enforce a law against interracial marriage, he would have to do it.
Deep sigh. But there'd be some sighing first.
I mean, sure, yeah. So lots
deep
of
sighing
sighing,
first.
yes, and fundraising, I'm sure.
Is there any credible coverage of this? Well, we've got our friend Jessie Apoyan at the Journal Sentinel trying to put the best face on this candidacy she can. Former Republican Attorney General Brad Schimel plans to launch a campaign for Wisconsin Supreme Court this week, setting up an early challenge to the court, a newly cemented liberal majority. The court's newly cemented liberal majority. A source close to Schimel confirmed his plans to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel today. The Waukesha County Circuit Court judge, by appointment, has a special announcement scheduled Thursday evening at the Weddle Manufacturing in Waukesha. His early entrance to the race sets him up as the first conservative challenger to liberal Justice Ann Walsh Bradley. That's the good one, who is expected to seek a fourth tenure term in 2025. She has already expressed, Ann Walsh Bradley, that she will run for re-election. So that's good news. And the news was first reported on the conservative website, Wisconsin Right Now. Schimel, 58, was elected to lead the State Department of Justice in 2014 and lost his 18 re-election bid to Democrat Josh Call by less than a percentage point the same year. Democratic Governor Tony Evers defeated Scotty Wanker. Before leaving office, Walker appointed Schimel to the Waukesha County Circuit Court.
Wow, thanks,
I remember
Scotty.
all these details. All these details, Dom. No other challengers have announced plans to run for the seat Bradley has held since 1995. Bradley, 73, told reporters in April when liberal Justice Janet Protasewicz was elected that she had plans to run again. Must be nice to serve in the majority for a change. It's been 15 years.
Right.
Now, Dom, Bradley fended off a challenge from Rock County Circuit Court Judge James Daly in 2015 with a 16-point victory margin. You're welcome, Ann Walsh. I think it was the Devil's Advocates bump. We had it on the
I'm
show
sure
a couple times.
Crute, Jesse Quinn goes on
go
to
ahead.
write at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. The challenge to the court's longest-serving member could append the massive victory liberals secured in April with Protasewicz's 11-point victory, which flipped the court's ideological majority for the first time in years. That race was the most expensive judicial contest in U.S. history. Well, it was then. Wait till 2025, Crute. No concrete details about Schimel's campaign operation were immediately available. Crute apparently doesn't even know his own website. At least he didn't back in 2014. Perhaps he'll be a little more prepared this time. Schimmel's
Well, he's got a year and a half to take a running start at it, Dom.
if we don't get it first, Schimmel's former campaign manager, Johnny Coromenos, works for the Republican Attorneys General Association and is expected to volunteer his time to support Schimmel's efforts. I will support Brad in anything he wants to do, and I think he's exactly the candidate we need, he told the Journal Sentinel. Before serving as
Well, I
Attorney
think he's-
General,
I was just going to say, I think he's got a better shot at it than, let's say, Dan Kelly 3.0.
can't spell Kelly without two L's. Schimel received a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and a law degree from the UW Law School. He joined the Waukesha County Circuit District Attorney's Office in 1990 and was elected Waukesha County District Attorney in 2006. Wisconsinites, here's a quote from Democratic Party Chair Ben Wickler. Wisconsinites rejected Schimel after a single term as Attorney General because his extreme politics and inept mismanagement became too great to ignore. With thousands of rape kits left untested at the state crime lab and millions of dollars wasted on partisan efforts to suppress voting rights and push new restrictions on abortion access. Schimmel's campaign launch comes as the court considers a number of high-profile cases, including a challenge to the state's electoral maps and an effort to eliminate funding for the state taxpayer taxpayer-funded school voucher programs and independent charter schools. A challenge to the state's 1849 abortion ban is also expected to make its way to the high court. Brad Schimel getting in the race early. That man needs a long time to warm up. Let's put it that way.
Dom, I wasn't feeling great today, but the news of Schimel jumping in the race also encouraged me to jump on the radio with you because, I mean, if this is the best and the brightest the Republicans have to offer, Dom.
I'm sure there'll be a primary, Crute, right? I mean, wasn't there last
I'm just going to say I'm unimpressed.
You can say
unimpressed.
No. You don't have to do an interview. You can say no. It is okay. Just say no.